Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris and I just got done watching El Camino. And El Camino is the epilogue, the end all be all for Breaking Bad, finishing off the series where we had left off. Jesse all stanky and raggedy driving off in an El Camino and us watching unfold how we close the chapter of his life. Now real quick, I just want to say guys, this will be completely spoiler filled. Usually I would do a spoiler free review for movies, but being that this is one of those unique situations where it's right on Netflix right now, you can essentially watch it for free, or 44 cents if you want to be technical. I figure there's no point being spoiler free. You guys watch the thing, you want to know my actual thoughts on it, so you have been warned. Spoilers, check this thing out if you're a Breaking Bad fan. It's good. But also guys, leave me all your thoughts down below. Tell me what you thought about this movie, your favorite parts, things you wish they would have touched upon, any Easter eggs you might have caught, because I'll be touching upon some Easter eggs and references to previous stuff in the Breaking Bad universe. But let's just get into it. Okay, come on now. If you're still here, you gotta leave a like for Fat Todd, okay? What were they thinking? But before getting to that, I absolutely loved how this movie was not kind to non-Breaking Bad fans. You had to have watched Breaking Bad to really appreciate this movie and really fall in love with it. They didn't hold back. They didn't waste time to explain, oh, my name's Jesse, I was once a drug dealer, and then I had this science teacher who had cancer. No, they didn't do any of that. It's like, this is the world, this is what we're doing. You know these characters, you know what they're capable of, and it just really moves forward. And I was completely enthralled the whole time watching this. Watching Breaking Bad a second time in preparation for this movie, I just refinished the show a couple weeks ago. I saw it the second time as Jesse Pinkman as the main character. The first time you watch the show, you watch it as Walter White is the main character, and of course the show is built to be that way. But now knowing where the show will end up, where certain characters will perish, I saw it the second time around as like, man, Jesse is the real hero of this story, and it made the Breaking Bad movie all that much better, because you feel bad for every wrong decision Jesse Pinkman makes that led him to where he was. I mean, just him showing up at his friend's house, and you just see all that grime coming off his body, and then the lashes and scars that they left on him. You just like instantly feel hurt, and you just want payback for everything that's happened to Jesse. But at the same time, you're like, how's he gonna get out of this, man? And it was so clever to integrate those flashback scenes of stuff that Jesse was doing while being captured, while Walter was out in the cabin getting skinnied and dying. But as soon as I heard Todd's voice, I was like, the man has gotten a little chunkier over the years. The man used to look like rip-off Matt Damon. Now he looks like rip-off me. And I thought they were trying to be clever by hiding sort of his double chin and belly with all the bars. I'm like, okay, this is clever. That way it's not too glaring of Fat Todd. I can get used to it. And then we get all Fat Todd and his glory. The man's killing maids now and making Jesse help him. I love the Todd demeanor, his persona, how he's just real chill about things like, you sure you don't want soup? I know there's a dead lady over there, but this is bacon and bean soup. You want this right now. That's one of the great things about this movie, is they managed to fit in minor characters that just made this feel like the Breaking Bad universe. But the scene that got to me in that whole Todd interaction was when he had the gun in his hands and he had his shot right there. He could kill Todd, he can get in the El Camino, and he can go and get Brock, and they can go to Mexico together or something like that. But Todd talks him down with a pizza. I mean, that would have worked for me. For Jesse, I forgot all the famous pizza parties he threw. The guy is a big fan of that stuff. But honestly, it was just because Jesse knew he couldn't get away. He didn't have a plan of action. He would just be doing without thinking, and that has led him to some very bad places. So seeing that tear drop from his eye and hand the gun over, I was like, Jesse, what are you doing? And then when we get to Jesse in present time searching through Todd's apartment, I like that bird's eye view of the apartment, and he's just rummaging and searching. Stuff that Vince Gilligan, the creator, is really good at visually with telling a story. The man has been on Breaking Bad for so long with Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and now this movie. This guy's so talented, I kind of want to see what he'd do with other things. And hiding the money in the fridge had to be another Fat Todd connection right there. That wasn't by accident. The inclusion of the really nosy neighbor made me laugh, because there are nosy people everywhere, man. Even my own neighbors are a little nosy. I shouldn't say that, they actually watch the channel. Hey, Phil and Grace. But my heart was pounding, especially when Jesse got discovered and he's hiding between the mattresses and he's like, I'm no cop killer. Again, a beautiful shot, and then the revelation that these guys aren't even with the police. It's like, dang it, Jesse, you should have killed them when you had the chance. But also, I'll admit, these guys kind of the small weakness of the movie for me, because it was kind of hard to gauge how bad these guys were and if they deserved what got to them at the end of the movie. I mean, of course, that one guy, you couldn't recognize him in the flashback. He had long hair and the beard. He helped set up the rig that would imprison Jesse, but I don't know, I thought maybe these guys were also part in the drug business or were distant relatives of the Russians who were keeping Jesse prisoner. These guys were pretty effed up, but I don't know, I was kind of hoping for a bigger villain for Jesse to face off in this Breaking Bad movie. These guys seem very minor and annoyance. When it came off to the face off though, that felt like a very Walter White situation where Jesse is definitely taking things from Walter and where he has a plan A, but he's got a plan B and C in case A doesn't work out. And then him holding that gun in his pocket and shooting the guys and then killing the other one. Pretty sweet, but it does go against kind of the Jesse character in my opinion. I know the man has killed before, but I kind of think of Jesse like a Batman where he doesn't kill. He wants to leave the least amount of bodies behind, but again, these guys probably did deserve it for knowing Jesse was captured and doing nothing about it. And it still surprised me how that guy let him take a third of the money from the fridge, didn't even shoot him, didn't even kill him, because he could have obviously have done that, but he let him go, which again, I think is just a little minor plot hole in this perfect movie. The way Jesse also goes about finding the vacuum place store and contacting the guy, so messed up that he couldn't take him for another $1,800, just like let that slip by. But I think that interaction that Jesse and the vacuum cleaner guy had was kind of important, because all throughout the movie you have people, his friends, or the guy who worked at the junkyard, his parents, everybody kind of close to Jesse or knows who he is, sympathizes with him and lets him get away. Probably why the mechanic that I was just talking about who let him go with the fridge money was kind of being soft on him, because it's like, yo, I saw the cage they kept you in, I know how badly they mess with you. Take your third and leave, man. But the speech the guy gives Jesse is kind of on point. It's like, you're trying to pull at my heartstrings, man. From my point of view, you deserved everything you got coming to you. At the end of the day, as much as we love these characters, we have to remember they're kind of bad people. They are murderers. They are drug dealers. They do bad things for money. Especially Jesse. At the end of the day, it's their fault. And I love that. How Jesse, the whole movie, wasn't using what happened to him for his own agenda. But when it really came down to it for $1,800, he's like, please, man, you knew the cage they kept me. And the guy's like, I don't care, man. Get me my money. As much as I wish the vacuum guy would let that slip and just take Jesse right there and then, I like that speech he gave him. I like how he told him off, because I felt that was needed and still brings it to reality of things haven't changed, Jesse. Bad stuff has happened, but this is kind of supposed to happen to you, man. Jumping to some of the Easter eggs I caught throughout the movie. Please let me know if there's any you caught that I missed. But some of the stuff I saw. So one, we got a shot of Los Pollos Hermanos. Instead, the restaurant was renamed Twisters. But that was the same building that Gus used to own. It was kind of cool that they gave us a shot of that. When Jesse is in Todd's house, he's looking at the spider. And that's the same spider that belonged to the kid on the dirt bike that Todd killed. That was one of the main reasons that Jesse hated Todd for. That he was just so easily willing to kill a kid. We have at one point Jesse playing with a beetle on his hands. Now, if you don't remember, in an episode there was one where Jesse was gonna do the same thing to a beetle, but Skinny Pete came and smashed it. This is metaphoric just to show that Jesse at heart really is friendly and doesn't want to hurt anything, which goes again to my theory of why I think of him like a Batman. When the junkyard man is coming to help Jesse out with his El Camino, he mentions, I remember adventures, magnets, referencing the time where they used magnets to get rid of some evidence in a police locker room. I can't even remember how many times Jesse said the word bitch. Did he even say it at all in this movie? Oh my god, I have to go back and rewatch this. How could you not have Jesse say bitch in this movie? The last shot of this film should have him driving off saying, yeah, bitch. But closing into some of my final thoughts, I will say the Bryan Cranston or the Walter White interaction flashback, because we knew the guy's still dead. I think it would have really diminished it if they brought him back to life somehow, or that he was still alive out there in prison. The character's dead, he's gone, that's good. But I will say the significant flashback they chose, I don't know, it's kind of underwhelming for me. I think it was done to show what Jesse might do with his future, because they definitely talk about what he should do. He was like, I don't know, I'd be a sports medicine. But Walter tells him, nah, you'd be good at business and marketing, which is probably most likely what he would end up doing. But again, I have to say, along with Fat Todd, it was kind of distracting because that ball cap on Bryan Cranston was so distracting. It added like an inch or two on his head, and they really cleanly painted on that shaved head look. And I wouldn't even doubt it if it was a fake mustache too. They did this movie so secretly, probably Bryan Cranston wasn't told in time to grow out a mustache. And he was in the movie for so little, I don't think it would have been worth it to shave his head. So I understand why they did it. I think the reason though they did choose that flashback is because if you remember in the show, there's at one point where Walter is talking to Jesse. I forget what specific episode, but it's in one of the later seasons. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like season 5. And he's talking to Jesse and he's like, you remember when we had the RV and we would go out in the desert and we would just cook, we would go at the hotel, we would eat at this restaurant. It was so easy back then. We didn't need anybody. And I think it's that conversation that Walter was having with Jesse that sparked that reminiscent memory to Jesse. That it was like, yeah, it was the simpler time. It was before things really got horrible. But like I said, it was kind of underwhelming for me. I would have liked a little more. Along with the Walter White stuff, I kind of wanted to see where Walter Jr. was or what Skyler was doing. As much as I hate her, I also wanted to see how Marie's keeping up with the death of Hank. I mean, there's a whole side of this Breaking Bad universe that is still kind of left unknown. One could say because it's Jesse Pinkman's story, we didn't have to see that stuff. It was really to close Jesse's story out, which I think they did do a great job of it, but at the same time, it also raises my questions. It's like, when Walter was in hiding in like the same snowy area, he was confined to one house, couldn't leave his area. If he left and went to the bar, the guy was going to drop him. So I would think Jesse is on the same sort of manhunt where everyone is looking for this guy. Why didn't he get the same treatment as Walter White? Why was this guy so casual to be like, okay, here's Alaska, have fun, man, good luck, instead of putting him in a cabin? Again, I know they're trying to end things on a happy note, but that kind of didn't make sense to me. We also have no word on Saul Goodman. Now, the reason we got that is because Better Call Saul is still going on, and the word is their final season will completely take place after Breaking Bad ends. So in Saul's spin-off show, we'll get to see what Saul is doing and what his life is like, and maybe in that last season, we'll also find out about Skyler and Walter White. But there were some characters I was hoping to see in here that we weren't introduced to, but I also have to remember it's been about 8 years since the show ended, but in the show, it's only been about 2 weeks. So the characters aren't that different from where we last saw him. But Jesse, I think they definitely gave him a great ending. I was really satisfied with this movie. It left me a little empty, like with the bad guy and some of the Walter White's interactions, but at the end of the day, I'm so happy with the way they ended things with Jesse. I'm still curious to know what he told Brock. I don't know how else you can say sorry that your mom died because of me, or if he's gonna leave him some money. I wouldn't even put it past the vacuum guy to not even send him that letter. Maybe somewhere down the line we'll get a continuation show of what Jesse does in Alaska. I wouldn't mind that, but if they end it off here, hey, it was a great show, and now in the future, if I decide to rewatch this thing, I have a great movie to see along with the show. But again, let me know what you guys thought of the Breaking Bad movie. Were you happy with it? Were you left wanting more? Is there some stuff you think they could have added in? If so, do you think they'll add it into the final season of Better Call Saul? If you haven't watched that show, it's actually pretty good. I wouldn't say it's up to Breaking Bad standards, but it's pretty damn close. So if you want to know what happens to Saul Goodman, I think you have to check out that show because they're going to do it in their final season. But as always, guys, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. As always, I'm Chris. Take care.